Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother, Love Ruthie. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Mother, 1946, Part 17. 1251 Argyle Street, Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, June 24th, 1946. Dearest Mother and Daddy, well, hi. And how is the big city treating you? Are you having a good time, dear? I really hope so, and I hope that we'll hear, but soon, how you're enjoying yourselves. I had more than one spasm of that lost feeling after you left, dear, but we're getting along okay, except for missing you very much. Bud hasn't outdone himself studying, although he did about 4 hours solid history last night, and is very confident over the exam again. Alice has been over, and Bonnie invited me over for supper tonight, and we're going roller skating. All's right with my world because I had a letter from Don this morning, and he's being a good kid studying, and I believe it's so. I also got my contract from St. Augustine, Florida, and also a travel folder. Beautiful country down there. Typical American, eh? Sell you on the country before you even go. I also had a letter from Mrs. Sampson, the minister's wife, saying that they're planning on me to help out with the girls' camp and teach art. How I got into that. And I had another letter from one of my pupils, Eddie. Everyone will think I bribed the kiddies. I guess they must remember me. I must write to them. Mrs. Newman phoned and I told her where you were. Cross? Bud's really been a swell kid, very cooperative. He washed the dishes every other turn. We had a thunderstorm Saturday night and it's been raining ever since, so it can clear up any time. I heard you've had an earthquake out there. Quite a landing the Smallshaw plane must have taken. Euphony George phoned and wanted to know if I'd rent the suite or knew of a place for to stay up there in Stoon. I don't. She's going to teach a regular class in the fall and asked if I'd see if they needed any other teachers in Florida. I guess Connie had told her. Mr. Martin phoned and said you were here on holidays. She was hurt that you hadn't phoned because she said you'd promised to help with a teacher's shower. Well, dear, it's 4:15 and I'm to be at Bonnie's by 4:30. Goodness. I love you very much and have a swell time. But let us know about it. Love, Ruth. 1251 Argyle Street, Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, June 26, 1946. Dearest Mother and Daddy, we're hoping that this will reach you in time, dear, because it might make a change in your plans. A man from the leader post phoned and said that an extra week with pay had been granted. Bud will explain what he said, and the man promised to write to you airmail himself. So if Daddy can get a change in his plane reservations, he can stay an extra week or so. I hope you'll let us know when you do make your plans, okay? We really enjoyed your letters this afternoon, but were we ever wondering before we got it? Bud said, maybe they've forgotten they had us. Anyway, it was swell that you're enjoying yourselves, and the stopover in Lethbridge was rather lucky. The description of the plane trip was lovely, Mother, and we enjoyed hearing about it. I definitely would like to make it. You really sound as if you're having a swell time. Bud finishes tomorrow and plans on going to the beach sometime this weekend. Bonnie is leaving for Winnipeg Friday morning. Don finished his exams today and is going back to Prince Albert. Marion reports Ian is ill in Prince Albert. She doesn't plan on coming to Regina because we won't get our visas until August. The American consul says we won't have any trouble going across. Marion isn't going back until July 2nd, so Ruthie's here alone this weekend. I went roller skating with Bonnie Monday night, and I was out with Harold last night, and Bonnie and I are going to the rides tonight. Bud's really been nice to me and is a good kid, although he's not quite so confident of his chemistry exam. Hopes he gets it, though. Hope to hear more of your trip and have a good time. Love, Ruth. P.S. Bud can be very blunt at times. I think he thought you should have written sooner, but we understand. So did I. 667 University Drive, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, July 3rd, 1946. Dearest Mommy, believe me, dear, you'll never know how much I missed you that week at home. It's much worse than when I'm away. Honey, you don't make the home. You are the home. It's about the best and most cruel thing that's ever happened to me. And if I never appreciated my sweet mother before, I do now. I only hope that I can become 1/10 as nice as you, even if you did make me walk for 6 hours. How are you making out? I'd love to get a note. Bud came back from the beach with the makings of a lovely tan. I caught the midnight train back. Alice stayed with me one night in Regina while Bud was away. I did the washing, although no bedclothes. I felt quite proud of myself for making the jacket heater go, and I hope I didn't mix up things too much for you. I made a chocolate cake, but we won't talk about it, although Bud will. Not good. A couple of fellows took Alice and I around the exhibition. On the train coming back, I met an ex-navigator now working in the Royal Bank in Hanley. He's phoned me long distance twice so far. Marion phoned long distance as she missed the train yesterday. I'm supposed to be going to camp tomorrow. Marion just came in now. Swell to see her. I miss you, dear, and love Mother very much. The snaps were very good. Don got 100 in trigonometry and 83 in history. I got 89 and 74. Love, Ruth. G.A. Camp, Pike Lake, Saskatchewan, Canada, July 9th, 1946. Hello, sweetheart. I'm still on the go out at camp, and since I still haven't heard where you are, I'll take it for granted you're still in Washington. Honestly, Mother, I'm glad it came out, although it's rather a tiring job. As I probably mentioned, there are 37 girls. We live in 2 cottages and 4 tents. I share the bedroom of one cottage with another leader. We get up at 7 o'clock a.m., breakfast at 8, Bible study at 9, art at 10. Swim, lunch, rest, art, swim, supper, and then usually have a campfire. Last night we had the Guides of Honor in red plaid shirts, slacks, and beanies. The 7 girls I have are one group. Each group has a daily duty. One day to help the cooks, the next to wash the dishes, and the next to get water and wood. It's very well organized, and I'm definitely glad I had the experience. The kids all call me Torchy, and I have almost forgotten Ruth. Today Miss Steele and the bishop are out, and since the van won't be ready, manufactured, I'll probably try to work in Stoon. Marion phoned me the day before yesterday to tell me about the mail, so I'll get it when I go back, as the mail service is bad. She said there were 6 letters there. One night I organized a scavenger hunt. Another we arranged a program. We had initiation or frisbee day, in which the newcomers to the camp had to wear hair in 3 pigtails, odd socks, clothes backwards, bathing suits inside out, and eat food with a spoon, and not talk during meal times. Quite the day. We've had quite a few sick lately with sort of the flu. We've had wonderful meals, and I've gained weight. I've enjoyed it with the girls, but it is a strain. I'd like to just stay here now by myself. I've completely got over that restless feeling that I had when I first went home, and not lonesome any more. Now that I've had my fill of housekeeping and got away from the routine we had all winter, Marion, Ian, and Don, I realize it was just a phase, and Torchy is ready to step into a new phase, and looking forward to going to Florida. But of course looking forward to spending time with Mommy at home. If I don't get a job, I may be seeing you. Hope you're having a good time. Love, Ruthie. P.S. One leader came in to me and said, "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" I asked why. She said one little girl we call Squirrel said, "You know, Turkey and I are in love." She asked her how she knew. "Oh, I just want to squeeze her hand all the time." One definition. I love you. Love, Torchy. 667 University Drive, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, July 12th, 1946. Dearest Mother, was it ever nice to get your letter when I arrived back yesterday, and I'm glad that you're still enjoying your holiday as much as ever. I didn't realize you were leaving Washington as I wrote a letter there. The slanting lines of this are not due to despondency, but due to the fact that I'm on the lawn in an intricate position, attempting to get the rest of me burned too. Well, dear, I'm very glad I went out to camp, and I'm much happier for it. I brought 3 of the girls in yesterday and let them go through the 15-cent stores, the Best Borough Hotel, etc., before putting them on the train. It's nice to be back, though, and since the van isn't ready, I should try and spear a job. I had a nice letter from Bud enclosing yours to Daddy. Also got my check and a note from Mr. Downer. A letter from Don, Alice, 2 from St. Augustine, saying he'd met Miss Inkster, and she gave me high praises, and one from Frank. Last night Frank took me to a wiener roast, which was very nice. He's coming over in half an hour and taking me to a show, supper, and we plan on going to a dance. Marion has a job starting Monday at a dress shop. She didn't take the drugstore job. So that's it here, dear. If I don't find work here, I may come home, and at any rate we'll try to whip down to see you anyway. Have a good time, sweetheart. I've started to try to read my Bible more regularly. Frank asked me to go to his Bible study class. I said I'd see. Thanks again, honey, for being a really swell mother and for getting me on the right track again. Love, Ruthie. Torchy, as the kids say. 667 University Drive, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, July 21st, 1946. Dearest Mother, well, sweetheart, was it ever swell to get your letter, dear, and know that you're home again. Everything now seems right with the world, because, to be honest, it seems strange writing and not knowing where you'd be. Then, too, the thoughts of Regina without you weren't so pleasant, although when I was home it was nice because of Bud. I did think of coming home to see you this weekend, but I'm staying over this week, and will probably be home next week sometime. It does cost money, and I'm not doing anything on the earning angle. Would it be okay if Marion came home with me? Then she can get her visa. I'm really looking forward to seeing you, though, and hearing how the trip went. We're beginning to get a bit eager regarding ours, too. We can use our railway certificates, so may as well go as far as possible in Canada. So we'll probably go as far as Windsor. It'll cut the expense. Do you think the 14th of September is too cold for the lake trip? We've been working on timetables. Since the 14th of September is the last lake trip, we'll have time to take a day in Detroit and go back to Chicago, because that's a city I want to see. Think that sounds okay? No, dear, my teaching at the vacation school ended Friday, and as Frank says, "You mean they're letting you have a holiday now and haven't planned anything for you to do now?" We've been having a nice time, a couple of shows and another dance. Tuesday afternoon we're going to the exhibition, and Frank has tickets for the grandstand that evening. Just reread your letter, and honestly, Mother, very honestly, the thought never even occurred to me that you'd bring me back anything from your trip. I mean, circumstances are different. I guess I told you Marion worked one day at the Fashion Fur and found it too hard. Guess we're just sissies. It's nice to be on holidays, too, though, although last week I went every day at 9, so got up early just the same. I'm glad you enjoyed your trip, and the flowers really sounded lovely. Wish we had a snap of that. I'll enclose the ones we took as I have them reprinted, and will let you have the negatives if you want. I thought they were nice, especially the one I marked. You and Daddy should get a photograph taken. I wish you would for me. Did you enjoy wearing your new suit, dear? I've found a pretty pale green one I love, but it won't go with my turquoise coat. $21.50. Should I get it or not? Really like it, and I need a few new clothes. Well, dear, if this sounds like a funny letter, it's because a fellow has been sitting here waiting for me to go out for a milkshake, and he's gone through the magazines and now started on the Canadian Pacific Railroad timetables. So out of courtesy, I'd better end this. And I'll try to write again and let you know how things are going. I love you very much and want to see you and will be home soon. Right? Love, Ruthie. P.S. Thanks for the souvenir, dear. Glad Daddy enjoyed the holiday. R.S. 667 University Drive, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, July 28, 1946. My dearest mother, hello, honey. I was so glad to hear from you, and I intended to write sooner. However, we have been busy. I still can't say exactly when I'll be home, dear, but we'll be down when Marion gets her birth certificate from Manitoba. I'll be down at any rate as soon as I get a trunk. I have a line on one, but if it doesn't come through, I guess I'll have to send my things in boxes to Regina. Would there be any chance of getting one in Regina? I can get any number of these old ones, but I'd like a metal one, fairly small. Tomorrow I plan on getting my railway certificate for Canada and getting my tickets. Thursday when my check comes through. Things will work out, although I really didn't think there was so much entailed in getting things cleared up. Yes, we enjoyed the exhibition. Monday was a bad day and nickel day at that, but Tuesday when we went was quite nice. There were about 8 of us, Frank's friends. The grandstand was good, although very short. The wire act was quite good. They said that one night the girl slipped, caught herself, and the audience was none the wiser until it came out in the newspaper. We also went up the exhibition Friday and Saturday, took a few notes on the school exhibits. You must get a look at the School for the Deaf exhibit when it comes. Is Daddy playing this year? The city is really packed with crooks, thieves, sheet writers, bookies, etc., if you know what I mean. Any number of them will afford transportation to Regina. I guess they'll all be in Regina tomorrow. Why was Pat in Regina? It'd be nice to see her while I'm at home. Would she be in town again? I guess varsity is fairly tough, especially when the kids have been away from studying. I imagine she'll make good, though. Personally, I'll be glad to get back to teaching. Holidays are nice, but I miss the kiddies so much. No pay for vacation school except the satisfaction of being with kiddies and seeing them now, and also it's nice to see the ones I knew out at camp. I'm very glad I went out to camp, dear. Miss Steele has asked me to go over one afternoon before I leave, so I must. What's the gen on Merle? I heard that Miss Marshall wanted Merle more or less for company, and since Merle was away, sorry I just phoned Merle and talked to her myself, so it's okay. She mentioned talking to you. Saw the show Smokey at the Cap with Frank. Marion says to give you her love. I'll write again when I've things more arranged, and let me know if there's a trunk available. I have the turquoise bathing suit and blouse, and will bring them down. Do you suppose you know of any way to get my grips up, not express? I love you, Ruthie. 667 University Drive, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, August 12th, 1946. Dearest Mother, honestly, dear, was it ever the luckiest thing in the world that we came back on the midnight train Friday. We had breakfast in the station and came home to pack. Just on an inspiration, I phoned Eaton's, and they had just unpacked 6 trunks. So Marion and I went down and bought one for me. Brought it home in a taxi and began packing again. We certainly have a lot of stuff. I've filled both trunks and suitcases, and Marion's packed 6 boxes in her trunk and suitcases. By mid-afternoon, we played out, so slept till supper. Saturday night, we went to a dance with two fellows we knew in the spring. We went to church. Sunday morning, and the same two fellows asked us to the ball game Sunday afternoon. We packed, though, and went last night instead. We've taken our money and bonds out of the bank, so cleared up there. Went shopping this morning and now just finished cleaning. Beat the rug, vacuumed, and washed floors, and scrubbed the basement steps. And Marion's washed the curtains, too. We planned on leaving at noon today, but obviously couldn't make it. There's quite a lot to do, so hope to catch the Canadian Pacific Railroad train tomorrow. Tonight the fellows are taking us to a show and then dancing. Nice that our last weekend in town is interesting. Marion was train sick coming down. Harold took us in for coffee before we left Regina. Hope she doesn't keep that up, but it may have been just a touch of the flu. Believe me, you appreciate things when you have to work for it. I was so very happy about getting a trunk. Certainly is hard to pack up the place, believe me. We haven't taken down the pennants yet. Waiting till the last. Love you, dear, and be seeing you. Ruthie. Memoriam. Augusta Smallshaw, Ruth and Bud's mother, Grandma Smallshaw to most of us, passed away on Monday, January 13th, 1997, at the age of 99, in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Gus had a long journey through life. At the age of 5, she traveled with her parents, Herbert and Julia Fisher, from England to a homestead near Silton, Northwest Territories, now Saskatchewan. She learned to love the prairies and talked about the fun times they had as children, playing with their dog Bruin in the fields around the homestead. She loved Canada and was proud of Saskatchewan's development as a pioneering province. Life was not always easy, but she learned to cope with the adversities of the dirty 30s and the Second World War, with husband George away in the Army. She navigated the family through it all. In the quiet moments, she found solace in painting. Her treasured china paintings will be passed down from her children and grandchildren. Traveling is something Gus loved to do, from the simple trips to the beach with her kids in the 30s and 40s, to motoring trips with George in the 50s and 60s. Later, the trips were more exotic. In 1976, she took her granddaughter Janet on an Arctic tour. And as recently as 1990, at the age of 92, she flew off to Switzerland, cane in hand, to wander in the Alps with her grandson Peter. Gus loved all her friends, and especially those that played bridge. The game of bridge was an addiction that she and George acquired during the 30s. They passed this addiction on to their children. The family that played together stayed together, as long as they didn't trump their partner's ace. Gus passed on her love of travel to her children and grandchildren. They also have traveled, and some have settled in far-flung places, to which she would mail off her bread, muffins, or cookies for them. While Gus put off old age as long as she could, she accepted her declining years with humor and a positive attitude. Her impaired hearing in the nursing home was sometimes an advantage to her. With her short-term memory loss, if she couldn't remember something, she would laugh and describe herself as a good forgetter. She appreciated the wonderful caregivers around her and never complained. Have a good journey, Gus. You are on the most exotic trip of all. You will be missed. We love you. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care. And I'll see you next time.